Hello. So I'd like to introduce everyone to Chloe Chambers, one of our Earth and Space Sciences graduates that we're super proud of. So we're going to do a little bit of an interview today talking about the things that Chloe has gained from her time with the Earth and Space Sciences Department and her career these days. So, Chloe, can you tell us something about why you chose Columbus State?
So originally I chose Columbus State because it was close to my parents. I didn't want to go too far away, but I wanted to go like far away enough to kind of have like a college experience. It was also affordable for my family. After the 2008 recession, my dad is a carpenter, and that recession hit his business really hard. So between that and some other financial concerns, I was relying on scholarships, the Hope Scholarship, and just between the distance and affordability, CSU was appealing. And then they had the programs that I was interested in pursuing as well. Originally, I wanted to be a chemistry major. And then after taking my first chemistry class, I decided that wasn't for me anymore. But it was actually through an internship with the UTeach program that I found that I really like Earth and Space Science. So I changed my major to Earth and Space Science secondary education, and I stuck with it.
Tell me a little bit more about that internship experience.
So the internship was teaching homeschool students 6th grade earth science. They would come to CSU for their lab experience. So every other week I would teach them some kind of lab activity or just something to get them with a hands-on experience. When I stepped in, it was for one semester. And it gave me more experience with teaching and preparing lesson plans. And it was a different kind of teaching experience that like a regular placement within an education program wouldn't have provided. And it gave me a different group of students to teach that during, like with a traditional education program, I might not have had the opportunity to work with. So it was a really good eye-opening experience. And like I said, it led me into Earth and Space Science. So definitely a great opportunity.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about what kind of opportunities besides that internship you've had at Columbus State that have helped you with your career path.
Oh my gosh. So so there was that internship opportunity. There was another internship opportunity with the UTeach program. One was being an intern with UTeach during fall, spring semester, and then during the summer, helping with like cataloging things and organizing the stockroom, and just kind of, helping with all the supplies and everything. And then for one semester, that position did switch to be a student assistant position. So that gave me experience, not just with, how to organize things and how to catalog stuff and help students that were in the lower UTeach courses get their materials and organize things for their lesson plans, but it also taught me kind of like some organizational skills and how to work with other people. So that's just with the UTeach program, those two opportunities. But then with the Earth and Space Science department, some of the opportunities that I've had are doing my own research, doing an independent study with Dr. Shaw. We got to look at why undergrads were leaving STEM. So let's see, we worked on that project for 1.5 years, almost 2 years. Does that sound about right?
All right.
Yeah, so we worked on that project, and I got to present my research both at Tower Day and at the American Association of Physics Teachers at that conference. So that was a really good opportunity to work with her and kind of bridge that gap between the sciences and education and look at, not just in a K-12 setting, but also like in a secondary ed or post-secondary ed setting of why STEM majors were leaving the field. And then some other opportunities that I've had multiple opportunities to do field work and to get my hands dirty. So going out with, like, say, Dr. Schwimmer and going to some of his sites and collecting specimens and getting to do field work with him, going with Dr. Barano and getting to do some field work with him, and then both him and Dr. Cruzen getting to go with them on 2-week Maymester geology field camp trips. So for 2 weeks, we would go camping. So the first time I went on Maymester, that's what we call it, Maymester. The first time I went, we went up the East Coast, over to the Great Lakes, and back down again. And then the second trip that I went on, we went to the Southwest. We went to like Colorado and New Mexico area. So drove out there and then looped back around and came back. So both times about 14, 15 days of camping. Have a couple of days before we left to like get things together, get materials, figure out what topics we would be studying and kind of prepare before we left. And then on the trips themselves, not only were we doing geology during the day and astronomy at night, but we were also teaching each other. So we would go to a certain location and someone from the group, depending on how many people we had on a trip at a time, someone would tell us about the locality that we were at. Or if it was for Dr. Cruzen's class for astronomy, they would tell us about some kind of event, whether it be historical or a current event, and we taught each other. And then of course, Dr. Barano and Dr. Cruzen would step in and provide some more information about things. But that was a really awesome, both of those were really awesome experiences. And just, it makes you want to learn more. Like it's an unforgettable experience, and it sticks with you forever, and it really motivates you to learn more and to get more involved with things. So aside from like those opportunities, there's also been there was another thing I was going to bring up and I lost my train of thought. I know I'm leaving out things, but because there's just been so many cool things that, like, because of how small the department is, you're able to get to know your professors very well. And I like having that small community because I feel like there's more opportunities for things, and you're not fighting with 200 to 300 students like in some of these bigger schools. And instead, it's just you're working with your colleagues and you get to do these things together instead of competing against one another, So, I remember the other thing that I was going to mention, conferences. So with the Earth and Space Science Department and with UTeach, I've been to 2 UTeach conferences, 2 NSTA conferences, National Science Teacher Association conferences, 1 Geological Society of America conference, 1 Society of Vertebrate Paleontology conference, and 1 Georgia Association of Marine Education conference. And so that was like just an undergrad getting to
and
go.
the American Association of Physics Teachers conference.
Oh, yes, duh. Oh my gosh. Yes, that one too. During student teaching too. So, all of those different conferences and getting to not only learn about new things and new opportunities, but to meet new people and a network. The ability to go to so many different events as an undergrad, like, I don't know if students in other programs get those same opportunities. So that was definitely something I was very thankful for, to have that kind of experience with both UTeach and the Earth and Space Science Department.
Mm-hmm. So did you have any other summer opportunities, either with Earth and Space Science or with UTeach, to pursue some of those things? I can think of at least one experience that you didn't mention yet.
Were you going to say the summer camps?
Yep.
Yeah. I told you I was going to forget something. So yes, summer camps. So there were STEM camps that UTeach, I guess the Noyce Scholarship Foundation, and then working with the ESS department and some of the other science departments on campus as well. The first 2 years that I helped with STEM camp, it was a residential camp where students could spend the night for 2 weeks, and we would do different activities and everything, get to get the students involved with the sciences and with math programs. Did we use computer science too? I think we did.
Yes, we did.
So, it was a really cool opportunity for these high school students to be able to get kind of like an idea of what college, not really college life, but, get to spend the night away at a college and then get to work with these professors, and with, some of us being college students, they got to work with us. So I did that for 2 years. And then there was another year that we did, there was another 2 years that we did summer camps, but for middle schoolers. And these were not residential, but they were every day. So local students would come to CSU and participate in activities, math and science as well. And with both Earth and Space Science and with UTeach, I got to work with Science Olympiad too, and help volunteer with that. So I know with both programs, I think I've volunteered for 3 years at Science Olympiad. I think that sounds about right. So those were really good opportunities as well.
Yeah.
Am I missing anything? Like, I feel like I am.
You were really involved when you were at CSU, so it's entirely possible we are still leaving some stuff out.
Yeah.
Like we teach.
Oh my gosh, duh. Yes. I should have pulled up my CV for this so I can be like, yeah, here's everything that we did. Yes. Oh my gosh. So with We Teach, I was the secretary of public relations. So I helped with the Facebook page and social media and kind of getting the word out like, hey, we're going to have a We Teach meeting. We Teach was a student organization for the students that were enrolled in the UTeach program at UTeach at Columbus State University. And we would meet, it's been 5 years since I've been to a meeting. I think, did we meet once a month? Does that sound about right?
2 weeks.
Okay. So yeah, we would meet every so often, and it really just depended on the meeting, like what we were doing. I mean, we would go over, announcements and things like that, but also and opportunities in the area. Sometimes we would have speakers come to the meetings. There was one meeting we did like different Halloween STEM activities. I'm trying to remember what all we did because there's so many years of those meetings. The Halloween one definitely stuck out to me. But that was a really good support group for all the students that were in the UTeach program to get to know each other and kind of lean on each other as they were going through the program together.
Yep. So we've talked about a lot of things that you did with UTeach and with Earth and Space Sciences outside the classroom. Can you tell me a little bit more about what the UTeach program in particular has helped you along your way to becoming a better teacher?
Okay, so I think the first thing, now that I am a teacher, one of the biggest things that I know has helped me with where I am now is having that field experience from the very beginning of the program. It's something that my colleagues have pointed out to me, as well as other coworkers of mine who have gone through the UTeach program as well. They have pointed out to us how we stand out compared to other first-year teachers. And I really think that is because of the experience that we get in every class to not, like, we'll observe a couple of hours, just to see how the classroom functions and ask the teacher some questions to get to know him or her and their students. But the field experience, it really helps because teaching is one of those things that the more you do it, ideally, the better you get at it and the more experience you get. So having that from the very first class up until student teaching, that really made a difference. And just getting comfortable with being in front of a group of students, working on classroom management, thinking about, okay, if I'm going to do this lab, how am I going to pass these things out? How am I going to get things organized and prepared beforehand? And then having that inquiry design too with the UTeach program. So the 5E model, or just inquiry in general, one thing that I have noticed, right now I'm getting my gifted certification, and myself and one other UTeach alumni, she and I have talked about some of the concepts that we're covering right now with our gifted program. And these are things that we actually learned in the UTeach program already. So inquiry design, project-based learning, and then doing things that are more research focused and getting students to think critically. It's just the concepts that we're going over, me and this other student and I talked about, like, I feel like we've already done this before, and it's because we have. So that kind of shows the quality of graduates that come from this program, that they're learning stuff in this program that most teachers don't get exposed to until they get their gifted certification. Because another teacher that I work with, she didn't go through the UTeach program, but she did go to CSU, and some of this stuff is new to her. And that's what we've talked about, is how we all went to the same college, but she and I went through UTeach. This other teacher went through the English department's education program, and she's learning about some of this stuff for the first time, whereas we're like, okay, how else can we improve this and make it better for us? So that's really helped both of us as UTeach graduates in the classroom.
That's wonderful. Is there anything else that you would want future students of Earth and Space Science and secondary ed to know about what CSU can do for them as they get ready for their careers?
I really want anyone who's going into these programs to get to know their professors and get to know people in the department, because having that kind of community relationship with everybody is really what led to those opportunities. Because, I mean, like kind of gathered from this interview, there were just so many things that I did. And I really think I was so involved all the time because I was constantly talking to everybody, and, you know, things would come up and I'm like, hey, I want to do that thing, you know, like, can I do that thing? And just asking, you know, it doesn't hurt to ask. And often if you mention something, like I just happened to mention to Dr. Barano one time about going to GSA with all of these geology majors, but here I am, like the only education major, or, you know, the only one going to be a teacher. And I just mentioned, like, hey, can I go? He's like, yeah. So just asking for these opportunities and seeing what's out there. And because chances are they're going to have something in mind for you. And if there's nothing, like, at the moment, they're going to end up finding something for you to help you along the way. So definitely reach out to people in your department and see what they got.
All right, now I'm going to challenge you on something you said, because you said, I'm just an education major.
Oh, yeah. As I was saying it, I was like, I shouldn't say I'm just an education major, because that is false. Actually, what I tell my students at the beginning of the school year, which I didn't get a chance to this semester with virtual, so I guess that's maybe why my mindset is not where it normally is with teaching. But I do tell my students, though, I am a scientist who teaches. I do tell them that. And because I am, and I tell them too, like, you know, you guys are scientists, and we don't have degrees. You don't have to have a degree to be a scientist. Like, you're asking questions. Like, that's part of being a scientist. So I'm glad you pointed that out, because after I mentally checked myself, I was like, oh.
Well, and the degree plans for UTeach are specifically set up so that you've got a science degree from the College of Letters and Sciences. And if you wanted to, you could go on and get a master's or a PhD,
Yes.
either right after graduation or later down the line if you decided to follow that path.
Yes. And that is something too. Actually, I'm glad that you brought that up as well, because, you know, with everything that is going on right now, it is nice to have that flexibility and to be able, if something were to happen, to be able to make that change for whatever reason. That is actually something that is very nice about the UTeach program is the flexibility to do something like that because of the way that the program is set up. So during this climate, definitely something worth obtaining.
All right. Thank you so much for talking with us today. And I hope to get to talk to you again soon.
Me too.
Welcome to one of our alumni interviews. This is Zachary Edwards, one of our alumni from Columbus State University's Department of Earth and Space Sciences.
Hey.
Zach, can you tell us a little bit about why you chose to pursue your education at Columbus State?
Yes, I actually went to CSU for both undergrad and graduate work. And what appealed to me as an undergraduate is CSU has a lot of unique centers, such as the Space Science Center and the Oxbow Center, that CSU really does utilize. And for me, I was able to get into research at the Space Science Center as soon as being a sophomore, which a lot of universities, you usually don't get into research until late or senior year or junior year. So I really appreciated that aspect.
What opportunities, aside from the opportunity to pursue research early on, did you have at CSU that made a difference in the path you took, first as an undergraduate?
So as an undergraduate, and even as a graduate, the relationship with the professors, because I noticed the professors at CSU they were really invested in me wanting to pursue what I wanted to pursue, which was education mixed with astronomy. So they really went above and beyond to be able to push me and guide me towards those paths.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the research that you did as an undergraduate?
Yes, as an undergraduate with Dr. Rosa Williams, I did a lot of X-ray studies on supernova remnants, which are just the remains of a dead star. I like to describe it as basically I was playing CSI, but for stars. How did the star die and why?
That sounds fascinating. What made you interested in that?
I've always been interested in astronomy, and the biggest question with stars dying is that, well, as Carl Sagan said, we are all star stuff. And it was just interesting looking at stars ejecting this material into the universe that eventually is used to go on to make planets and other stuff, such as us.
Okay. You mentioned too that you were interested in not just astronomy, but also education. What made you interested in pursuing a path in education?
Yes, so I was on one of the front lines of research at CSU and LSU with supernova remnants, but it's hard to explain because I loved being able to do public outreach, and I loved that aha moment when I see people at outreach events, I see students, and they finally get it, they finally understand, or they learn something new and the implications that they start thinking about things slightly differently, and it's just cool seeing that, and it kind of excited me more than some of the research.
All right. So after you finished your bachelor's degree at Columbus State, tell us a little bit about what came next.
So after that, I was accepted into the graduate program at Louisiana State University in Baton Rouge, in which I furthered my studies in supernova. This time I was looking at how supernova were made, how they come about, their progenitor systems, not just their deaths, but how they happened. And then after LSU, I was accepted into the Woodrow Wilson Foundation, which aims at placing people with high content knowledge into a school setting, K through 12 school setting.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit more about what Columbus State faculty through Earth and Space Science, through UTeach, through Woodrow Wilson did to help you prepare to be a classroom teacher?
Yes, so going back to the research, there was hands-on experience with the research that I was able to implement into certain aspects of lessons and have students be looking at actual data. So that research experience knowledge helped me to get students thinking a little bit about hands-on research. Not only that, but CSU offered a lot of hands-on experience because with the Woodrow Wilson and with the UTeach program, one of the things that I love is they get you into the classroom fast and often. And it does a good job of getting you prepared. And I feel like CSU prepared me very well for education with the hands-on experiences, the teacher help, the professor comments, and everything. It was a huge support system. And anywhere I looked, I had faculty being able to help me and suggest things for me.
Do you think that's a common thing at universities across the country, or was that something that was different here?
So what I noticed is I do have some friends that have been through other teacher preparation programs. And I know with some of those teacher preparation programs, they only have students in the classroom for a semester, and it's only maybe 2 or 3 months out of that semester. And here at CSU, I know in the UTeach program, they have 3 or 4 different steps. And I know personally for the Woodrow Wilson program, I was in the classroom from day one, well, even before day one with pre-planning with the teachers, and I did everything that teacher did. And that helped me see what was really expected of a teacher for an entire year. And that I haven't seen at some similar universities.
Going back a little, you also mentioned some of the research you were able to do as an undergraduate. Did you have any opportunities to do paid summer internships because of your work at Columbus State?
Yes, so at Columbus State University, the professors really urged me and got me active with research. I was able to get some internships at CSU with the space grant, working with the Coca-Cola Space Science Center and the Solar Observatory. And in addition, the professors encouraged me to go out and look at research experience for undergraduates, which isn't related to CSU, but a lot of CSU undergraduates were very experienced and rewarded with being able to do these RU programs during the summer instead of having to take short-term classes. And for my case in the honors program, I was able to count some of those research experiences during the summer as credits for the honors program, which helped.
So where did you get to go as part of your research experience for undergraduate internships?
So I had 2 of them. One was at Louisiana State University, and the second was at the National Radio Astronomy Observatory in Socorro, New Mexico.
And both of those were paid?
Yep, both of those were paid. I had flights paid, I had paid internship, and they also paid for me to go to conferences the following year to present the research that I had done. And in the terms of the Louisiana State research experience, I was actually able to publish a paper as a junior in undergrad, which was an amazing experience.
Did those experiences help you get into your master's program?
They did, yes. So those experiences gave me firsthand hands-on research that I was able to use to get into Louisiana State University. And then eventually having that content knowledge and that research background was what made Woodrow Wilson, made the Woodrow Wilson Fellowship very appealing to me, is because now I could take that hands-on experience and use that in Woodrow Wilson.
And where has your career taken you now?
So right now I am the astronomy lab manager and observatory director at New Mexico State University in Las Cruces. So what that has me doing right now is that in these times, I am helping to assist and to turn the astronomy labs into online labs. And once we get the observatories refurbished, then I will help manage those to be able to use them for outreach events, community building, and also hopefully some research with them.
What kind of research do you hope to pursue?
So I won't be doing the research. I will just be helping find initiatives. And one of the things that have been previously done with it is the AABSO, which is the American Association of Variable Stars. And that's just looking at how stars change over time, looking at their light curves and seeing when they change, how the light change, and looking at the light of the stars to infer from that. So there's different research custodians that I'll hopefully get a part of.
All right. Is there anything else that you can tell us about your career path over the past decade or so?
Yes, so my career path was one that was slightly different from the norm, because I notice a lot of people go undergrad, graduate school, PhD, postdoc, and do that, but mine was different. I know with some teachers, they go undergrad straight into teaching, but I went from undergrad to research to graduate school and teaching, and now at this job that kind of merged the two together. So I was very appreciative of CSU, because if not for CSU, I wouldn't be able to do this different path, because the Woodrow Wilson program at CSU definitely did a good job in preparing me for both the education side. The undergraduate research provided me experience for the research side, and I have to give a big thanks to CSU for training me in both of them.
All right. Thank you so much for talking to us today, Zach.
Thank
It's
you
been
for
great
having
seeing
me.
you.